Have you ever walked into an assistant principal interview, sat down and realized you're not just competing against the other candidates, but competing with yourself? Your nerves, your preparation, your vision? What if I told you today we're going to give you a list of resources and strategies so you can stand out and dominate your next interview for assistant principal? So grab a piece of paper, get a pen, take down some notes, and we're going to get started right now. Hey everybody, my name is Gordon and welcome to another episode. If this is your first time with us and you want to learn more about resume writing, interviews, cover letters, Clifton Strengths, anything leadership, education related, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification so you don't miss any cool updates or any of our latest content. Okay everybody, today's a big one. Today we're going to talk about interviewing for the assistant principal position. Why is this important? Assistant principals are our first level instructional leaders. You are doing the job of supporting the principal and their vision. And what we're going to talk about today is how do we help you stand out while you're in your interview, getting rid of all those nerves and having a strategy to be able to attack that interview, impress that interview panel, and move to the next level. Before we get into the content, share in the comments below, what's your biggest fear? What's your biggest apprehension going into your assistant principal position? Tell us that. Give us that in the comments below because we want to help you. We want to give you answers, give you resources, and give you support. So in the comments below, tell us what's your biggest fears and apprehension about the assistant principal interview. So before we jump into the content, just one more thing. In the description below, you're going to find a link to a resource. That resource is our guide on acing your next leadership interview. Don't forget, check that description below, get that resource. It's going to help you as you prepare for that next interview. So let's start with leadership interview insight number 1. So being able to show and demonstrate your leadership qualities. And really, we're going to talk about 3 really quickly. The first one we're going to talk about is emotional intelligence. Now, emotional intelligence, we know that you have the hard skills. Many times you can demonstrate on your resume and on your cover letter, the hard skills that you actually have. But when you get in front of a panel and you get in front of a group of people who are interviewing you, your ability to demonstrate and display levels of emotional intelligence. Can you build relationships? Can you be a caring, nurturing, empathetic person as you're dealing with a student, as you're dealing with a family? Can you demonstrate that you understand and you can connect and help them navigate through whatever that challenge is that they're facing? These are the types of skills that we look for when we're interviewing candidates to move them into positions of leadership. So those emotional intelligence skills are going to be really, really important. The second one, decision-making skills. Can you make a decision? Can you go in, analyze, look at it, determine what has occurred, pull some data, pull some evidence, and then make a decision, and make a decision that you can stick to. Make a decision that you can support and you can defend. Your ability to make decisions, because as a leader, you are asked to make decisions all the time. All day, every day, you're in decision-making mode. And your ability to make a decision and stick to it is going to be critical in your success as a leader. So the interview panel is always going to look for your ability to have solid, really, really consistent decision-making skills. That's critical. And then thirdly, the ability to communicate. It is critically important that you can demonstrate that you have effective communication skills. As a leader, most of our work is done through verbal and written communication. Our ability to convey ideas, our ability to influence and impact people with the way that we talk to them, the way that we speak to them, the ability to put together an argument, be able to justify it, be able to rationalize it, be able to defend it. And our ability to communicate that to people is what's going to help us show that we are in a position of leadership and we are in a position to be trusted. So your ability to clearly communicate and clearly lay that out in a logical fashion is really going to be critically important as an interview panel is assessing and analyzing whether you are the right person for the job. All right, so to engage with you a little bit more, share with me a leadership quality that you think is critical for an educational leader to have, but is often overlooked. Share that with me in the comments below. What is a critical skill or leadership quality that people need to have, but is often overlooked in educational leadership? Put that in the comments below, and let's move to insight number 2. Leadership interview insight number 2. Show and demonstrate your ability to articulate a vision. Now, as an assistant principal, you You are first tasked with helping the principal to successfully implement their vision. However, as a leader, it is important to be able to demonstrate to an interview panel as well as to a staff of people who will now report to you that you have a vision for how the school will run, how your leadership is going to impact that. But being able to articulate your vision, share that, is going to be critically important, because it's another opportunity for you to communicate orally with a group of people that you can put this together and you can demonstrate not only what happens today and not only what matters today, but I can cast a vision for the future. All of our schools deserve to have a forward-looking future and have leaders who are forward-looking leaders. So your ability to articulate that vision and articulate where you see the school going and how your leadership will impact that is certainly going to be an important skill to be able to know and demonstrate and clearly articulate to that leadership interview panel. Let's move to leadership interview insight number 3. So, mastering scenario-based questions. Understanding that the first question in many leadership interviews is always going to be, tell us about who you are, your knowledge, your skills, your capability, your educational experience that qualifies you for the position. So that's going to be important. Once you get past that question, we're going to start to get into scenarios. Tell us how you would handle a teacher discipline issue. Tell us how you would handle a disruptive student issue. Tell us how you would help to build a master schedule if you're a secondary administrator. If you're an assistant principal who's going to be in charge of counseling and going to be in charge of developing the master schedule. Scenario-based questions and understanding your ability to lay out the scenario, understand what it is, use research, use evidence, use data, collaborate with others, pull people together to solve problems, to build an answer that is robust and strong with respect to a scenario-based question. So thinking about your ability to understand what types of scenarios are likely to come up, remember to know and understand and to research who you're interviewing with, the school that you may be leading, the school that might be considering you, maybe multiple schools that you might be interviewing for, but knowing and understanding some of the dynamics will help you lead to understanding what types of scenario questions you might get. Maybe has a robust STEAM program. So how would you lead a science department through a professional development session focused on infusing STEAM-related activities into their content areas and into their specific science disciplines? How would you go through that? That's a scenario-based question. So you're going to have to think through how you'd like to answer that. But knowing and understanding the ability to navigate scenario-based questions is going to show your versatility. It's going to also show your dynamic ability to navigate challenging scenarios and challenging situations and demonstrate that to the interview panel. Scenario-based questions, be ready for them. They will be critically important in truly demonstrating your ability to do the job while you're in the interview. Leadership interview insight number 4. It's going to sound similar to the last one, but it's different. And it is the ability to master behavioral-based questions. Different than scenario-based questions. But behavioral-based questions are how will you specifically, in a very tactical way, handle a very specific task based on your behaviors and based on the things that you will do and how you'll look at the problem. So here's a very specific structure or a very specific framework. We use the STAR method to deal with behavior-based questions. So the STAR method goes situation, task, actions, and results. So for instance, let's say you have an issue that is happening within a classroom and you need to intervene. There is a disruptive group of students and you need to intervene. The teacher is called and asked for your assistance as the assistant principal. So now you are entering the classroom. The very first thing is to understand the situation. So now you are walking in and immediately doing some assessment. Hopefully you've gathered some information and hopefully you've gotten some details from the teacher via email or via that phone call before you walked into the classroom, so you actually already have a preliminary assessment that can help you and inform you on how you might enter into that space. Once you understand the situation, then you've got to determine what task needs to happen. Do I need to intervene? Do I need to remove students? Do I need to counsel students? Is it something that can be handled in the classroom and stay and remain in the classroom? Once you've looked at the situation and once you've determined what task you need to have, then you're going to take specific action. And you're going to take that specific action. Now this goes back to the very first leadership insight, which is your ability to make a decision and your ability to communicate effectively. So once you make the decision, I'm going to pull Gordon out of the classroom because I'm going to need to spend some time talking with him, spending some time to try to see if I can unpack what's happening and then be able to cure and correct and get him back into the educational environment as fast as possible. That's the decision that's been made. Now, how do you communicate that? How do you communicate that effectively to the teacher? How do you effectively communicate that to Gordon? How do you effectively communicate that to his parents after you've done the work that you need to do? And then the results. What's the follow-up that you can do with Gordon after the fact? Maybe you can check in with him the next day. Maybe you can check in with him a week later. Maybe you can check in with his parents. If you've seen a change in behavior, you can check in with his parents after the fact, and then you can share with them some positive feedback, some positive things that will reinforce that there's been a change that's been positive. So thinking through the STAR method as an example of a framework of how to deal with behavioral-based questions. They can help you with your scenario-based questions. They can also help you with making sure that you can continue to demonstrate your actual leadership qualities. Really, really important piece. The STAR framework is powerful, and I encourage you to use it as much as possible. Leadership interview insight number 5. This one's important. This becomes the icing on top of the cake. So you've talked about your leadership qualities. You've talked about your vision. You've talked about and worked through scenario-based questions. You've talked about and worked through behavioral-based questions. But now it's your time to show your differentiating value proposition to the panel and to that organization. What makes you unique? What makes you stand out amongst all the other candidates? Why do they want you instead of all those other folks? Is it your skills? Is it your talents? Is it your strengths? We can talk about Gallup Clifton strengths. Is it you're naturally gifted? You're naturally talented at a series of skills that the organization that you're interviewing that they need? Do you have an infectious joy of being around students and being in a school-based community, and you've done all these different things that showcase and highlight your skills and your talents and your contributions? This is a time to share that. This is the time to give the panel a wow factor. Like, what do you want them to remember about you? That's the value proposition that you have to leave them with. Do not leave the interview ever without them knowing who you are and why it matters and why you're so excited and you're so pumped and you're so jazzed about working for them, working with their kids, being a part of their scholars' lives. That's what you got to do. And that's what you have an opportunity to do when you're doing the value proposition and what you bring to the table. So don't forget, in the description below, we have a resource guide, Acing Your Next Leadership Interview. It gives you strategies, it gives you frameworks, it talks about the STAR method, it talks about different tools and strategies that you can use to really put your best foot forward. I want you to go out and wow your next panel. I want you to go out and get that next job because you're going to be armed with the right skills and resources and tools. So check that description below to get that free resource. So if you like the content and you got some value out of today's video, give us a thumbs up, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend, share it with 10 friends. We want to continue to grow this community, continue to help identify our next wave, our future leaders, our future educational leaders. We want to find them, we want to support them, we want to grow them. Scholars deserve to have hungry, humble, and smart leaders who are creating better schools and better environments for them. And we are trying to lead that charge here at the Principled Leader. So don't forget to check the resources in the description below for additional information, coaching, resources, etc. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We want to get this out to as many people as possible. And until we see you on the next video, be well, good luck on your next interview, and we can't wait to see you until the next time. Thanks. Talk soon.